Welcome, everybody. This is the Kubernetes SIG architecture meeting for October 22nd, 2020. Please all recall our code of conduct and treat each other with respect. Looks like we have a pretty short agenda today. First up, we have Lori Apple with capture and iterate on template feedback. Lori?
Hi, so I just wanted to present this topic, but this group has the expertise to actually drive the conversation. It's basically certain criteria that we want to have around test conformance, and then also some other quality issues around how to graduate KEPs.
Did you I just displayed the agenda. Did you want to show anything, or did you want anything?
No, this is to get the topic in this group so that you all discuss it. It was just, I'm the messenger.
Okay.
I have some for the conformance area that we might roll up. The with SIG release, we have the release process that for the conformance working group, we have the release blocking job that says that no new GA APIs can promote without conformance tests. And it used to be just a subnote as a comment in the KEP template. And now it's been elevated up to a SIG release sign-off, which is if you'll follow that link, and I'll drop it in the channel, under the SIG sign-off checklist, there is an area that says test plan is in place, giving SIG consideration to SIG Arch and SIG testing input. I think we should, my only input is that we would add that any GA APIs, the criteria we have there with a link to it, to be sure that that checkbox is ticked for any GA APIs.
Let me just pull that up.
Sorry, I think I didn't share the right link. My bad.
Oh, okay.
This link, the sign-off checklist.
Okay.
And
okay. So what do you think? So this sign-off checklist here.
Yeah, we're at the SIG Arc, SIG test. We need to have a checklist item, either update that one to say ensure that GA8, because that's what the test plan is overall, I think, from SIG testing. But as far as SIG architecture is concerned, the test plan for when they're going from beta to GA, we have to have those conformance tests in there. Otherwise, it adds to the debt. And we also have the release blocking job that we could say to check if your APIs have promoted, this job will be failing and informing SIG release, or informing us for now.
The sign-off checklist here is for targeting to a milestone or release. Well, that's the required. Like, this isn't necessarily. I mean, I guess in that sort of theme of we want to do automation as much as possible. Like, the things checked off here mostly aren't automated. If we've automated, there's two steps, right? There's all the things marked with the required. It's when the release team, the enhancements team, targets something to a particular release and says, I want this enhancement, this cap to go into this release. We're saying that the release team, that enhancements team, is actually manually humans checking. Are these things done? I mean, the author of the cap should check them off for the convenience of that person. But basically, things that are blocked by a job, we don't need to put in this checklist. That's what I'm trying to say. The job is even better than the checklist. The checklist is because we're lazy and we didn't create jobs, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. Or it's for a different step. We don't have a way to validate the milestone assignment. Right now, anybody in the milestone maintainers can just assign it to a milestone. We don't have like a set of checks to go through and say, no, it shouldn't be in this milestone because it doesn't meet this criteria. That's what this is.
Fair.
So Lori, did you, I guess, what's the ask here? I'm a little bit, you just want to bring it to our attention so that folks here on the call will take some time and go over that? Is that
yeah, like however you see fit, basically. Jordan's comments I would use as the measuring stick. So he's asking for a more specific testing plan on behalf of KEPS. And so what might he be looking for, and what might the release team be looking for? So, what would it look like? How would you know that there's been greater specificity added? And then does it have to follow the structure of alpha, beta, GA in any way? Do you get tighter in those testing standards as you go up towards?
Okay, so some focus on improving the test criteria, the test plan. And what he's suggesting in particular here, I think would be nice. We do this for conformance. One of the things we do for conformance is like the tests have to not flake for a certain amount of time before they can be promoted. And so so people put in their promotion PR a link to the grid showing here, filtered such that you can see those tests and that, yes, they've been passing for the last 14 days or whatever it is. So he's asking for the same thing. Let's create a link within the CAP that you can just click on and say, oh yes, the tests associated with this CAP, the components and the specific tests created for it, the feature, are passing. I think that's a great idea. So, okay, I mean, I guess the question, I'll just say that to everybody on the call, please take a look at this and provide any feedback about other things you may see as missing or important to smooth the process for bringing CAPs to release.
And I would say just drive all the conversation toward the enhancements channel, because we'll use this as criteria for graduating these CAPs. And then also there may or may not at some point be some effect on the proposed receipts process, which we won't be using testing plan. Like, do you have a testing plan as a criteria? Because it's just too hard for us to measure. You could just say, yes, I have a testing plan, but we don't know how that succeeds or fails, right? But say through this group, we do come up with some criteria that we could actually measure in that process. It'd be good to think of it like that. But for now, we can't go with a yes, no testing plan, yes, testing plan, no kind of measuring standard, because it won't mean anything in this receipts process that we're proposing. And if you don't know what the receipts process is, please let me know, because we now have a roadmap for that. And I think we will pick up that topic next Tuesday at the sub-project meeting.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Laura.
All right.
All right, next on our agenda, Tim Auclair, are you on the line? I don't see you in the list. All right, does anybody else here? So this looks like it's a discussion that happened a month or so ago on the mailing list. Looks very interesting. I have not gotten myself familiar enough with it, although it looks like a good one. Does anybody else want to talk to that? And then Tim can watch the recording, or shall we push this to next meeting?
This is Micah. Tim and I were just on a PSC meeting. We should be joining in just moments.
Oh, okay, great. Well, then let's, why don't we then move this? Hippie, why don't you go ahead and do the sub-project readout for conformance? And then hopefully by that time that's done, Tim will have joined.
Sounds good. I've dropped a link to the markdown file for our release. And if you want to let me share, or if you want to share the slides, I can go through that. Let me share. When you hit the magic allow us to share button, we'll make it so. I'm not, there we are. Thank you. Beautiful. So this is the API Snoop and the conformance sub-project OKRs and how we're doing. Not trying to change too much, just keep it increasing in velocity and consistency. quick update. Our primary OKR was to increase stable coverage, and that usually is the main goal. We would love to get 40. I'm not feeling it this quarter. I don't think we're going to stretch to that. Our primary goal is 30. This replication controller PR, if we can look at that, I think it's a solid promotion that was flaky a while back. So if anyone has permission to do promotes and LGTMs on this, just like we talked about with the in the process, we have a link to test grid that shows our 0 failures for quite a while. And it just requires 2 weeks of solid soak as a normal test and meeting all the other criteria for a conformance test for promotion. So that's an easy 7 points for us that will contribute toward our 30. Currently, we have 0 fully on the board, but these are things that are ready. This +12 pod proxy test has been very interesting, and I think Clayton had exposed some things where we weren't reading the values of the HTTP request, and we've actually written a new piece of updated arguments for, let's see if it's a link way down at the bottom here, for, nope, it's not there yet, to update the software that we use for testing inside the pod. And I'll just wanted to give an overall view. We're trying really hard to get our goal, but we'll need some, we're fighting for these pretty hard. The next part is our intermittent flakes. These are still a bit flaky, and we're trying to debug those. If anyone is an expert at debugging flakes, we'd love your help on these 2 PRs for pod and pod status lifecycle and app v1 deployment lifecycle. They were tests we wrote a while back that are still flaking. Hopefully this will come through soon. We were missing a lot of our conformance tests that we had written tests for, and we had supported, we tried to patch the policy, because the policy inside of our CI jobs filters out all of our event logs because of performance reasons. But in order for us to use that as a metric of coverage, we were not able to see it in the logs, therefore it doesn't hit. So as soon, we ended up creating a new proud job based on the kind conformance job. However, there's some current operations things around the PR not merging for that job to be updated, but I suspect we'll have that within a day or 2. So that will be 7 points. That's the pivot here was we were trying to patch the original GCE based conformance, the main signal, but the ways of the suggested ways is to set some variables for the advanced audit policy and have it lay down the YAML file. But no one is using that in any other test across test grid, and it seems to fail. So rather than trying to debug a GCE job, it was much easier to base our work on the kind job. We're having some issues around pod and node proxy. So there's some redirects bugs that need to be fixed. I'm hoping that we can get those in after 120. I think they're unlikely for this release. So those points will be shoved out a bit. In conclusion, for that main OKR, I think we're going to be on target, even as we're hitting edge cases via flakes, policies, and redirects. Flakes are hard. And policy changes took a lot of effort to get through as far as our audit policies changes to make sure we could see those event-based logs. And proxy redirect having bugs in the API implementation. I wanted to get a little feedback here from SIG as far as the conformance subproject. When we identify bugs inside, that's what we're as testing. Are we responsible for also fixing those bugs? And if anybody wants to step up to help with fixing the API side, that would help us focus on writing tests for it.
I mean, we all love for folks to fix bugs whenever they can, but no, you're not responsible. The SIG that owns that code is responsible for fixing those bugs, but they're going to prioritize it and put it on their schedule. So if it's important to you to get it fixed and you know how to fix it, go for it. But yeah, it goes back to the SIG for sure.
it's definitely stretching our learning. So just understand that the reason that's not prioritized is it's going to take a deeper dive for us than it might for someone who's coming from that expertise.
Yeah. I mean, file the bug, assign it to the SIG,
Yeah.
poke somebody if you know them, or even if you don't, and say, hey, this is blocking us getting these conformance tests in.
Right.
Is it an easy fix? Or here's how we think we should fix it.
Well,
does it look right to you?
We definitely have action items to create those issues. I think primarily for the roll-up, this was to signal that the points we win this release are hard fought for. And if we don't quite make that, I just want to give a bit of a warning that we're doing all we can. Some really cool news is our technical debt. That was the next key result. Our technical debt is getting cleared all the way back to 111. So if you look at our chart for the older releases, we have some 114 debt and I think some a little bit of 111. So there's 5 points here and there's 2 points here. It will be lovely to get closer and closer. We only have that 1.5 and earlier debt, and we were just supposed to remove 114, and I think we're going to be able to move all the way back to 110. So that's exciting, because there's also another test in reaching out to the SIGs to take care of their own endpoints. We were able to get a priority life cycle test. This was one we didn't have to write. Honghui and this SIG were able to write that test, and we will be promoting it in 6 days. So yay team Kubernetes. It takes a village to raise this stuff.
I don't know if you can see Tim's comment in the chat. Proxy redirects may be deprecated and planned for removal in 120. I'm not sure that's what I'm not sure you're talking about the same thing here, but is this the can you explain exactly what the proxy redirects are? We have time. So.
Sure. Let me bring up the test. So we have two original tests here, and then here's the bug. So I'll drop this link in the links are in here, but I'll drop them directly to. Oops, that's not. I'm not able to drop links super easily from here. Node proxy and code proxy are hitting endpoints that have head and options. Do you see this head and options? And there's some issues around the API server just ignoring or squashing head and options in the API server. So we cannot actually reach those endpoints, even though they're exposed as stable core. And if we're spending a lot of time writing tests for proxy redirects and it's deprecated marked for removal, I really need to prioritize that, because that's a lot of our effort over this.
Where is the redirect portion of this? Because I don't think that node proxy, there's no changes being done there. It's for pod, exec, attach, and streaming, which used to work via redirect. That redirect capability is being removed in 120.
Go ahead.
I think there was a discussion with that proxy without a path issues a redirect. Are we just getting confused and using the word redirect when we just mean the proxy? Or is there an actual redirect being issued here? So we had a previous. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm trying to get the right link sent to you. This is the main discussion I think that Liggett was bringing up around our proxy redirects.
Right, so that's with no path. So we had a discussion of when there's, right now the API server, when you make this proxy request with no path, then we issue a redirect, whereas when there's a path, we can plumb it through to whatever you're proxying to. I think that's, if I recall correctly. And so we added tests for that we get those redirects for get and head, I think what Liggett's talking about, but we don't want to do redirects for post or put or delete or whatever, right? And so we were trying to write the test such that they check what the behavior we actually want is.
Okay, sorry for the confusion. I think that's different from what I was referring to.
Okay.
Thanks for chiming in. It's super helpful to get direction from people who know their stuff inside the parts that we're testing. We'll go back to the presentation. So it may look less like fixing bugs and more only testing the parts that we want to test. And as we identify those pieces that will be either deprecated or not what we want to test, we'll have to remove those endpoints from the target for conformance. And I'll show you where we have that list, by the way, on API Snoop with our det. The next part is our KK release blocking job, which is the job that the KEPs probably need to be aware of, or that we'll do the signal for. It has been catching an untested new endpoint. We had a lot of some issues understanding for the PROW CNCF. We had not yet set up decorators, which we finished configuring some of our test rigs this week. When you use decorators, entry point has some unexpected, at least it was unexpected for us, behavior, in that it overrides entry point and just calls the first argument of it. So we needed to rewrite our job because it takes a combination of running as root and passing the first arg as Postgres in order for our job not to spin up our Snoop DB to stay long running, rather than spitting out results saying these are the number of new endpoints that don't have tests. It was neat to see some folks from SIG networking interested in having some CI signal around this. So I can pop that over. I'm not, for some reason this is open in new tab. There we go. So SIG network test group for their own blocking jobs. And they actually had linked to API Snoop down here and wondered if there was a way we could track that. And I didn't know if there was an overlap between helping them create blocking jobs for SIG networking or how that would relate, but I just wanted to bring up that there was some interest. Here's our, I think we've fixed the PROW jobs over since our SIG, our conformance subproject meeting, and we're waiting for some of the failing operations jobs for basically the validations for our job changes to succeed, and I think testing ops on call should be fixing that sometime today, I suspect. Other important news, let's remember that code freeze is on the 12th and the release date is 8th. And so we're doing everything we can to get those points in. Again, if we can get that seven point test in at the top, that's ready for promotion. And we get the jobs, that should get us up to about 14. And so anything else we get should get us a lot closer to that 30, if not over that. The CNCF Kate's conformance gate is running, and preparing for our KubeCon presentation. One of the things I do in the beginning is go through the process of running Sonoboy with a single test and gathering those results and creating a PR against Kate, and that's the beginning. Here's how to submit, and then at the end of it, I show the Kate's conformance, the CNCF Kate's conformance submission gate running and saying, you look great, except you're only running one test, you're missing some tests. So I'm glad to actually have that working and being part of our roll-up presentation for KubeCon.
Yeah, I got to use that the other day. I submitted one GTA 118 for conformance, and it was very helpful because I screwed up a copy paste error in the project YAML and a product YAML, and it spit back everything. So it was nice. Well done.
Okay. Huzzah. Any questions or feedback over the conformance subproject?
I just asked about your communications plan so that more people are aware of this great work, but I guess the talk will help with that somewhat. So,
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Hippie. Right, on to our last item here then. Tim Allclair.
Yeah, I think we had said in the previous meeting that we were going to punt this topic to this week. And so I just copied that over. This was following up the discussion that we had on the mailing list about the best ways of, or how we would like to deal with label restrictions or label ACLs or tags or various other proposals that were brought up for better management of kind of policies and things that make security or access decisions based on labels.
All right, well, thank you. Looks like Tim Hawken has some comments here.
Yeah, I'm not sure we came to a conclusion. It sort of fell off the bottom of my stack for a little bit. I think the general feeling was for the specific problem of network policy and probably admission control, we should move towards a namespace selector or list of namespaces. That doesn't solve the general problem of label ACLs and tags, which I'm not sure are the same thing either. And I didn't track where the rest of that conversation went, honestly, in the last 2 weeks.
Okay, and as I mentioned, I did not. I recall reading that the first few emails in that chain. It looked pretty interesting, but I'm not really up to speed where I should be to have a reasonable conversation about it either. Does anybody else want to make some comments or try to further the discussion? Otherwise, we may we say start things on the mailing list, which is good, but I almost wonder a short doc or something that sort of lays out some of the options rather than everybody having to go back to the thread where people can comment. Maybe we already have that.
Yeah, that's the doc that's linked from the third bullet point under there.
Oh, okay, excellent.
That
all right,
summarizes all of the options that were proposed and discussed in the mailing thread.
Okay, excellent. So probably like you put it on the agenda, which is great, and given how unprepared woefully some of us are, we probably should go back and read that and then again put this on the agenda for 2 weeks from now to have live discussion if there's things that aren't resolved from the doc. But it's good, everybody who is on the call, please, Tim's put the link there, access control on labels. Let's all make an effort to review that and be prepared to actually have a substantive discussion next time if we can. Does that make sense?
Works for me.
Okay, well, sorry about that. Okay, well, I guess that's our agenda for today. Anybody else have anything they want to bring up, or can we get back almost half an hour? Okay, nobody's got anything to say. So get your KubeCon talks recorded today. They're due today in a few hours. So good luck, everybody. I believe they're due at 5 p.m. Eastern time, if you're not aware, which is not that far away. So thanks a lot and have a great week, couple of weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.